Hey everybody, Jamie here with Enigmatic Pneumatics, and we are here at the 2017 van build with my new friends, Matt and Amie.
Hi guys.
Hi.
And before we start, I just want to say real quick, if you're new to the channel, I know a lot of you guys are, if you could go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and a little slide out will come with a bell, click on that, and you'll get alerts when new videos comes out. And that really helps my channel. So if you guys could do that right now, I've got a treat for you in return, which is Matt and Amie, and they've got an incredible story. They just got here from Panama. Is it Panama or Panama City?
Just Panama.
Panama, like the country, not the Van Halen song. And they've got a great story. We're gonna dive right into it. I think you're really gonna like it. With that, I'm gonna put the camera behind me and film the good stuff here. I present to you Matt and Amie. How you guys doing?
Good.
And you've still got mud on your sandals from Panama, yes?
Probably.
Yeah.
There's definitely plenty of sand and mud on and in the truck.
How long have you been back in the United States?
10 days?
Yeah.
Okay, so you just back 10 days. We've got a Toyota Tundra. Looks like you guys put it together yourself. We'll get to that in just a minute. But just first impressions, you guys look pretty young. You come from a wealthy family. How you doing this?
Well, we're both in our 30s. I'm actually in my mid-30s, and we saved for 3.5 years just for this particular trip.
Okay. And so why would you do something like this? This is really kind of a radical thing that most people don't do. What inspired you? What did you do before this?
I was a massage therapist in Maui, Hawaii.
And I work on boats. I got my captain's license.
So how do you go from those occupations to getting together and deciding, you know what, let's save up money? And was it Panama or was it just travel and that's just where you were last?
Well, it was all of Mexico and Central America, and just Panama was our turnaround point.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our major motivations was we love to travel, but we have our very old dog, Jagger.
He's all, I heard that.
Yeah. He's 14 years old, and we already had put him on an airplane to go to Maui, and we didn't really want to put him on any more airplanes. In the past, when we've traveled, Matt and I actually met in Nicaragua at a surf camp. I was a cook and he was a surf guide and the boat captain for the boat. And so the idea was to maybe continue to do that kind of work, trade, travel as a couple though, which is an asset to a lot of companies to have two people who are working together to come in and do that. So we knew we could get work that way. But then with the old dog, we didn't want to fly him, get to somewhere, not like the job, and then have to fly off of it. So like one of our considerations was, say, Fiji. It's a small island, so like trying to get another job would have been awkward or hard, and so we just decided to keep it simple and drive. So we flew to California, and we both have family there, and we purchased this truck and built the camper on it, and the goal was to just kind of surf and explore Mexico and Central America. Why
would you not go to Oklahoma or Canada or something like that?
Well, Matt is definitely a serious surfer, and I like surfing.
Okay.
I also love animals, I love hiking, I love exploring. So we had already been to Central America, we felt comfortable with Central America, and so that was just something that we could get in a car and do, and that was important with the dog.
Can you do that with a passport card?
You need a passport.
Okay.
But if you have a passport card, you have a passport. Like, it's the same process, the same thing. So we actually have both. That's
okay.
Something we chose to do just in case we lost our passports. We would then have this passport card. We didn't actually try to do the crossing with a passport card, but I think you should be able to do it because it's all land borders. You're allowed to use it when you cross land borders.
Well, you would need a passport though, because you have to stamp.
Oh yeah.
Everything.
Okay.
So.
How long were you gone?
It's been 500 days today, actually.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
congratulations on your 500-day anniversary.
Yeah, but we were out of the country 487 days.
what would somebody need financially to pull it off, knowing what you know now, for 500 days?
Well, we set a budget based on research. So we set our budget at $50 a day for everything.
Okay.
The dog, the truck, problems, food, gas, you name it. That encompassed everything. And so you have highs and you have lows. And I think it's a fair budget. I think now that we've done it, we would try to save maybe just a $10 more a day, but that would be to be more comfortable and do more tours and you know, pay more entrance fees into some of the really cool things you're seeing because you're traveling. And we did a fair amount of them, but we didn't do them all.
This is a topic that I could really dive deep down into, and we could talk about for probably a couple of hours. But rather than make it specifically about the fine details of your travel, let's talk about kind of the overview of it. I don't want to keep you guys too long. Let's talk about the overview of it, what you liked most about it, what you would advise people to be aware of if they're going to go down and do something like this, and then we'll get into your rig and how you built it out and what changes you might make if you were to make any changes, and final thoughts. How about something like that?
Great.
Okay, so starting with, you were down there, you went down there 500 days, you didn't go down and visit anybody, so you were basically just on your own, and then the friends you met along the way. Yeah. What would you say was the advice you'd get? What would be the advice you would give somebody? What were some surprises along the way? Talk a little bit about that.
I would say, I guess starting from the beginning when it comes to like planning for a trip, look into the logistics, like the borders and just how long you're allowed to be in countries and stuff, because you're gonna be working with visas and also your vehicle importation paperwork stuff. So that'll be a limiting factor. But beyond that, it seemed like our strategy was just to kind of plan as we go.
Okay. So
kind of plan the next couple of states in Mexico, or once we're leaving Mexico, plan Belize, and then sort of go from there. And that worked out well for us. I feel like we've met some people that tried to plan the entire trip, like they had an itinerary for a year, and within the first couple of weeks something happens and you're off your itinerary and it's all blown. So
how long does it take to go across a new border, especially with a pet like a dog?
We averaged around 3 hours per border. And sometimes more, sometimes a little bit less.
Are you waiting to be seen like at the DMV, or what's the 3 hours to do?
Basically, most of the borders, you would say if you're going from Belize to Guatemala, you would show up at the border, you would have to check out of Belize with your visas, and then you would check the car out of Belize, and then you would go check yourself, get visas for Guatemala, and then you'd have to go check the car into Guatemala to get your temporary import permit.
What's that cost?
Each border is a little different, but I guess it ranged somewhere between like around $40.
40 bucks total for all three of you guys and the vehicle?
Oh, yeah, maybe 40, 60 bucks. I mean, 40 was just the vehicle, I think, on average. The dog was anywhere from a few dollars. Panama was crazy. It was $150 with everything for just the dog.
150 bucks to get into Panama.
Panama is the only country that just has a crazy import fee for your dog.
Each one's different though. Like some of them would be like $10 total.
Or $5.
But then other ones, yeah, it would be up to, I guess Panama was the most expensive.
Some borders charge you to come in, some borders charge you to exit, some borders charge you to come in and exit. Some borders don't charge you anything.
How many countries did you go through?
It's been 8 if you don't count the US.
Okay, so it's 8 countries total. What would you recommend if somebody wanted to take the trip that you guys just went on that you didn't know when you went? Like, now that I know, I would say be prepared by doing this.
The biggest thing for us, I think, was that I made an assumption that our vehicle import permits would last the same amount of time as our visas. And that was not the case in several countries. So you might be able to get a 90-day visa on arrival as a US citizen, but the truck might only get 30 days. So we would think that we were gonna, I looked into it, and it was like, oh, we get 90 days in this country, and then we'd show up with that in mind, and then it would turn out, well, you only have 30 days, or you have to go do like a multiple day amount of paperwork to get the car to be able to stay another 30 days.
There's also a couple really helpful apps and Facebook forums that we found out about either right before our trip started or after we were already on it. One was the PanAmerican Travelers Association on Facebook, and I wouldn't bother joining the group unless you're genuinely going to try to do the trip. But if you're thinking about doing the trip, it's a really good forum to just follow and see the kinds of questions that gets asked, because then it'll really prepare you for the experience you're going to have if you just read what people are asking and then the kinds of responses that you're getting. As far as apps, iOverlander. So that's kind of what we found out we're overlanders. You're crossing multiple countries, and we're outfitted to go most anywhere we would like to go because we have a four-wheel drive vehicle. So and then also downloading Google Maps. So you're not always going to have cell phone service. So when you do have Wi-Fi, you can go to the country or the region you're going to be traveling in, and you can actually download a Google map, and then you have maps that you're comfortable using in those countries. Mind you, they will probably lead you on some very interesting journeys sometimes, and you have to be prepared for that, and you have to look at the routes that they're sending you on critically. Like if you're on this really nice paved road and it's telling you to go on this like dirt road, maybe consider not taking the dirt road and just staying on the paved road and seeing if Google Maps reroutes you soon.
Okay, 8 countries. Did you have to get a separate insurance policy on your vehicle each time you crossed into a new country?
Yes.
How did that work? Did you just do it at the border?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really easy except for in Mexico. Mexico, you need to get your insurance policy before you enter the state, or I mean the country.
Yeah.
And you can do that online before you come.
Lewis and Lewis in San Diego they'll write you up a policy, but you have to keep the policy you have in the United States though, otherwise you'll be seen as not having continuous insurance in the States. So 8 countries, you got insurance every time. Did you feel safe every time you entered into a new country? We hear so much in the United States about safety. How did you guys feel about it?
Countries in general felt safe. Every now and again we would go into a little neighborhood or something that we didn't know anything about and just kind of get a bad feeling about it, so we would just move on. But
that might have just been us.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to trust your instinct, but you have to also realize that there's been a lot of things that we've been told, and it plays into your psychology, and you start to create these stories that don't exist based on all the things that people have been trying to tell us. So it took us a little bit of time to shake the feelings that our family and friends and the media had been giving us before we headed into Mexico. And when we entered back into Mexico, we had none of that again, but we still had our family and friends worrying about us, even though we had already survived 6 months on the way down and never had an incident.
You've never been to these countries before. How did you sleep at night? Did you get hotel rooms, or how did you know if you could park if you wanted to sleep in the truck that no one would roust you?
iOverlander is really helpful. It's a tool that did not used to exist, so you used to need to read blogs of travelers who've done the trip before, and you would find places to stay. But now you have this app that's incredibly helpful, and it's like a nice guide and tool. You won't always have the same experience that the last traveler had, but they'll tell you like, oh, I stayed at this hotel, it was really cheap, or I stayed at this campground, or I wild camped in this spot, and this is the experience I had. And by now, it's been out for 3 or 4 years, you will have multiple entries in many of the spots, and then it's just up to you how you feel. Like, are you comfortable wild camping at a place that's never been marked before, or has only had 1 entry, or...
Well, and when we did that, a lot of times we would just ask around. So if you showed up at a beach and you wanted to camp there, you would just ask, like, oh, there's someone who owns a restaurant or something, like, hey, is it safe for me to park here and like sleep here? And they'll usually tell you the truth, we think. Like, they don't want you to have trouble where they live. Like, they don't want their town to be known in a bad way. So
Matt, you talked about restaurants. What advice would you give about food? Did you feel comfortable eating the food that was made at restaurants and little trucks and stuff? Did you buy groceries and make it yourself? Is it really expensive? Talk a little bit about that.
We did a lot of shopping at grocery stores and making it ourselves just to help the budget along, but definitely ate at lots of food stalls and restaurants, and yeah, whatever was good that particular day.
And you keep it cheap when you eat at the little food stalls or the food trucks, or they're everywhere, and it's really, really good food, and it's normally very economical.
When I was in Mexico, I just didn't drink the tap water, and I was fine. I never got any kind of a, intestinal thing going. Would that be how it is for your experience, or what would you say about that?
We didn't test it out. We bought this really amazing jerry can, and we filter all our water through it. So we have 2 jerry cans that we just fill. Well, we fill all 3 of them.
What's a jerry can?
Do you want us to show you?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh wow, that looks pretty cool.
So this is our filtering jerry can. And what we do is we have 2 more.
Where can people find these?
You can find them on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you headed over to our webpage or our YouTube channel, we actually have a bunch of our gear that we've used and bought for the trip listed underneath all of our episodes. So
what's your
jerry cans is one of them.
What's your YouTube channel?
The Traveling Together Journal.
So the Traveling Together Journal, just type that into the browser on YouTube.
Yep. And any of our videos, and you'll get a link to Amazon with these items.
We just fill them with tap water wherever we can find it, in a park or a grocery store parking lot or whatever, and then you just pressurize it and filters the water.
So the filter's back on the other side of that tap?
It's in here.
Yeah, on the side of the tap.
Awesome.
And then we just do the we just do the reusable water bottles.
What's something like that run you?
It was $250.
$250?
Yep.
But one visit to the doctor's office.
Well, and it does 20,000 liters of water through the filter before you need to get a new filter.
And the average person consumes about 1 gallon of water, so our family consumes around 3 gallons to 5 gallons of water a day, like total, like washing, dishes, everything. Right. So this will last us more than the couple of years we planned to do the trip.
Okay. So
yeah, we roll with 15 gallons of water total. We have 2 of these and this guy. And so we just fill this, all of them, with unfiltered water. And then when this empties, we dump these into that.
So we've talked about the insurance, we've talked about how you're eating and drinking. Let's see. If somebody wants to take a trip similar to yours, was there an experience that you had that you would say, oh my gosh, if you do this, you have to do this? What would it be?
I really liked Grutas Tolantongo. I think it should be part of the 7 natural wonders of the world and not many of the other things that are.
Can you spell it?
Grutas, it means cave in Spanish. It's G-R-U-T-A-S. Tolantongo is T-O-L-A-N-T-A-N-G-O.
That's getting me a lot closer than I would have got if I hadn't asked you, so that's fine. I'll look it up. I just wanted to get something on the video camera.
It is a hot spring, hot river, hot waterfall, hot caves, amazing destination just north of Mexico City, and it's actually not in Lonely Planet or any guidebooks.
Oh, wow.
It's something that when I asked other travelers who travel like we do, what's something we have to do in Mexico, a couple of them had mentioned this, and it was amazing. It was really, really cool. You should just look it up. The photos are outstanding, and it'll be on your list.
Was it easy to find dog food on the trip?
Not at the, no, not at first.
Well, and we try to keep them on some pretty good quality food. So there's tons of dog food if you're okay with just feeding them the stuff you buy at a grocery store. But being older and stuff, we try to keep them on things that are like high glucosamine and low grain and that sort of thing. So we ended up deciding to just put them on the stuff you buy at Costco. They have Costco's, not a ton of them, but if you plan ahead, you can hit a Costco about every time the dog food bag's running low.
Okay.
Throughout Mexico, and then it's price smart as soon as you enter Guatemala all the way through Panama. So we had to get a new membership. But
if somebody is going down to take a trip similar to yours and they have appliances that run on propane, are they going to find it easy to find propane?
Yes.
yeah,
Is it easy to find gasoline and diesel?
yeah,
Are the prices comparable to what we have here in the United States?
yeah.
Each country's different. The propane is cheaper in general than what you pay in the States. And then the gasoline prices vary a bit from country to country. And the same with the diesel. The diesel tends to be cheaper than the gasoline everywhere south of the border.
Okay.
But certain countries like Costa Rica, everything's more expensive, so you're paying a lot more there. While other places, I think the gasoline was about the same as in the States.
We spoke last night at the campfire about y'all coming up to the United States to visit family for the holidays. Now that you've got this experience under your belt and the holidays pass, what would be the next thing, what would be the next adventure for you after you've had time to build your cash reserves back up, knowing what you know now?
We're going back to Baja for the winter.
This winter?
Yeah.
This winter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not going back to work yet. We planned and saved for a 2-year trip, and it's been under a year and a half.
Okay.
So we still have some resources, and our jobs, it's just going to be better for us to try to get work closer to summer. And we are going to go enjoy more Baja. We're going to keep doing it. It was a really amazing place and very wild and free to camp where you want, to do what you want. And our resources will go a long way there. And now that we do know what we know, we're better at it.
Okay.
And if it was summer, we'd go to Alaska right now.
So that's going to be maybe our next trip after we
Get some
work
more
for a while and
resources.
rebuild the rig with some insulation.
Yeah.
Okay, would you consider, you know, it sounds like you kind of like going to these third world country beach tropical climates. Would it gravitate towards more so than perhaps going to Europe?
Yeah, I gravitate towards it for the surfing. Like the warm water and stuff is a lot nicer. And our budget goes a lot further being in third world countries.
Fair enough. Shall we take a look at your rig?
Yeah.
All right, tell me about this. How did you find it? Did you select the Toyota Tundra on purpose, or did you just get a smoking deal?
Real quick,
Okay.
it's honest mistake that it's a Tundra, but it's actually a T100. It's a 1995 T100. Matt can tell you more about it.
Okay.
It's not a
Did you
Tundra.
buy the specific brand on purpose?
Yeah.
And what attracted you to this vehicle?
The Toyotas in general are pretty widely available throughout Central America and Mexico. So parts availability was a big concern for me. We did not have the budget to buy something even close to being new. So we knew we were going to break down or just have maintenance issues. So we wanted something that we'd be able to get the parts for. And these trucks in particular have a very popular drivetrain. It's the same engine and transmission that you could find in a Tacoma, early model Tundra, or certain years of Land Cruisers. And then the suspension, they share a lot of components with the Toyota pickup, which is marketed as the Hilux in most of their countries. So like we've replaced during their trip the starter, idler arm,
The rear differential seal.
rear differential seal. I feel like I'm forgetting some stuff, a few other things, but we were able to get all the parts the day we were looking for them. Where like we met people that were driving Fords and stuff that seem like you see them pretty regularly, but surprisingly they would have a hard time finding what I would think of as a simple part. So
Can we take a look inside?
Of course.
So immediately we see that it looks like you took a camper top and shaped it to give you more space, more like a slide-in camper, and then you wrapped it with fiberglass. Do you have fiberglass experience going into this, or did you learn as you went?
yeah. I've just working on boats. I've done dry dock work, so lay some fiberglass doing that. And yeah, it's just a fiberglass camper shell that we bought off Craigslist for $100.
Okay.
And then the whole top part was added on with 5mm plywood and 6-ounce fiberglass and epoxy resin.
Looks great. You were going to show us the fridge?
Well, it's the bed and we're on a slant, so we have it on a fridge slide, and our fridge slide locks have broken. They broke pretty fast, actually.
Where do you get these slides?
We made these ones.
Well, the drawer slides themselves are from cabinetparts.com, I think, but they're just a heavy-duty drawer slide.
Cabinetparts.com.
And then the little mounting stuff is just angle iron that we made ourselves.
Okay. What kind of fridge is this?
This is a Snowmaster. It's a South African company, but they've just recently started importing them into the United States, and it's a fridge and a freezer.
Excellent. What does something like that run?
I think they're $1,200.
$1,200. What is it? Looks like a 60 quart?
66
It is
liters.
66 liters, but it's really very solid on temperatures. Like when we're in 90-degree heats, the thing gets to temperature, it stays at temperature, and the whole thing is at temperature. It's not like you have frozen stuff at the bottom and stuff going bad at the top. Which,
right.
So it's a very solid unit. It's been stainless steel. We've obviously abused it really well. And we're freezing our beer right now.
Nice.
It's fast beer cooling. And we've got this thing full of food.
Can you take the refrigerator and everything full of food when you go across into Mexico? Is that cool?
You know, you're not supposed to have any
No produce,
vegetables
no
and
meats.
produce, eggs, or you're not, most of the time you're not supposed to have any beer, so we do what we can to eat through our stuff, which, so it's a little inconvenient, but.
Okay. And then it looks like you just made yourselves a bed that the refrigerator is a part of when you're sleeping?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just all storage down below.
Let me see what this looks like inside, because you've got, oh wow.
So we have 6 surfboards up there.
6 surfboards, and they're inside rather than outside for safety?
Yeah, we didn't want to stand out. I feel like if you have a bunch of surfboards or a kayak or something strapped to the roof, then it's pretty easy for anyone to spot you as you're coming down the road.
Right.
So, and that's why we did the whole extension on top.
I have something like this. Did you buy this in Mexico?
I bought
blanket?
these.
Yeah.
they're
Did you
from
buy it from
Mexican.
Adolfo?
I bought them in Todos Santos like years before I did a yoga teacher training.
Oh, okay.
And I just bought them then, and I still had them.
Okay. Very cool. Anything else that I can't see, that the camera can't see, that you'd like to point out about
Well, we
your
do
rig?
have more storage under this that is pretty sneaky. I don't even think when we go through borders they understand that's there. So a couple of the borders where things are really expensive, like Belize, we stored a lot of beer there.
Oh, okay.
and just some general food items, because it's so expensive in comparison to what we were used to. So we stocked that thing as much as we could with things that, like, you can't bring in dog food either, but they don't have any commercial stores. So no Walmarts, no Costco's, nothing like that.
Okay.
If it's not made in Belize, it's not there. So
You've got power from these panels out here. How many
Yeah.
watts are these?
It's a 300 watt.
Total. 300
setup.
watts power, and what kind of a battery system?
We have 2 75 amp hour Optima yellow tops.
Are they flooded or AGM?
AGM.
Okay. And are you using a PWM controller or a...
Yeah.
Okay. And so far so good, huh? Your stuff stays
Yeah.
cold and you can power your handheld electronics, no problem.
Yeah.
I saw you had an inverter in there, so you're
We got a fan
going good with that.
for the hot places.
What kind of temperatures can be expected in the places that you guys went?
Well, if you're up in the mountains and stuff, it can actually be pretty cold even in the summer. But so we went anywhere from, we were at a glacier in Mexico, and then down at the beaches, a lot of like 85 degree to 90 degree, but very humid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else on the inside you'd like to point out?
we have some storage compartments in the main cab, but those just hold our batteries, electronics, and we have them locked up.
Very cool. Tell me
Yeah.
about this awning that you have here.
Oh, yeah.
Who makes that?
This is ARB 8-foot awning. And
ARB 8-foot awning.
We do have the mosquito net that really easily zips in and clips in. It is extra work, so we only use it when we need it. And it just really easily rolls up. I mean, do you want us to do that?
Absolutely not, but I just want to ask you if you're happy with it.
Yeah. We actually had an incident on the first major rainstorm where this pole completely bent and broke within minutes of this filling up with water. And Matt fashioned a pole out of a mop handle, whittled down. But then ARB sent us a new pole to Guatemala because they had ARB distributors in Guatemala.
So you would recommend having one of these? You're happy that you bought it? You'd replace it if you had to start all over again with like kind?
I would, yeah.
Okay, cool. What's it run roughly?
It's under $300.
Under $300.
I think you can get them on sale. Yeah.
I'm thinking about doing something like that with my bus maybe.
Yeah.
Could I take my bus down and do the trip you guys did? Did you see people that were like private drivers?
Yes. No problem.
Okay, cool. And so you've got the typical camp stuff out here, tables, folding chairs, little cook. I think I have that same cooker there. And bins, you got your luggable for the bathroom. What was, did you have to get packages when you were there?
Well, we had the ARB stuff sent. We
got some new camera gear and stuff, but we just had a friend was gonna come visit us, so we just like loaded her bags full of electronics, because if you're trying to get any kind of, most stuff is cheaper down there, but when it comes to any like high-end electronics, which is, we wanted cameras and stuff that weren't really popular down there.
Right.
It can be quite a bit more. Same with, like, you can buy solar down there, but a lot of times it's more expensive than a comparable thing in the States.
Okay. How about communicating with family and things like that? How would you do that, or did you do that?
Yeah, oftentimes we bought a local SIM card. It's actually really easy to just take out the SIM card that you have from AT&T and Verizon and go ahead and place in one from the local provider. And as far as communicating with them, we would do it via WhatsApp. It's an app that most of those countries highly support it, and oftentimes most of the phone plans will not deduct data from you for using it. It's like Facebook, WhatsApp, and some other ones that the local communities use them the most, and so they give it to you for free. And so we just purchased gigabytes. We would purchase a plan with 2 gigabytes for the month.
Did you have to get a different SIM card for every country?
In general, you do. Sometimes they will work multi-country, but getting that kind of information was really challenging.
What's it like if you were English speaking only doing what you guys did? Do you speak a little bit of the other languages, or if somebody wanted to do this and they don't speak anything but English, how rough is it to move through these countries as a English only person?
Well, the one advantage is that it's Spanish through the rest of the countries, so you can kind of work on it as you go and it'll continue to apply.
Okay.
But it's pretty easy to do it, I would say, until something goes wrong, and then it can be a bit of a challenge. But the key, I think, to dealing with almost any problem that happens traveling like this is just to not be in a hurry. As long as you aren't putting yourself on some kind of really tight time restrictions, then you can kind of work through whatever it is. You have your Spanish-English dictionary, you have your Google Translate, and we met some people that spoke almost no Spanish, and they just relied very heavily on their Google Translate and sort of just their willingness to kind of pay more and accept that they were going to get the gringo charge and that sort of stuff.
Well, I think you bring up a good point. When we go to countries to travel, we're not necessarily in a mad dash to push our way through as many experiences as fast as we can, so much as to take it slow, absorb the culture, meet the people, and, you know, not be in such a fast-paced attitude.
So yeah, if you have the right attitude, I mean, we've heard some really fun stories where somebody gets like broken down on the side of the road, and then all of a sudden like the local rodeo starts in the field behind them. And it's like, all right, I guess we're just going to camp here, and where there's a rodeo, and we just talked to a guy in a pickup truck that's going to tow us back to town later. So, like, stuff works out as long as you're not in too big of a hurry.
Is there anything else that you guys would like to say to anyone watching that might be considering living an overlander or a traveling lifestyle?
Just do it.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know if you like it until you try it.
Don't listen to what everyone's trying to tell you. Like, do your own research and apply some critical thinking to the information that you're getting from it.
Well, I am very happy to have met you guys, and I'm super pumped that we're going to be hanging out at the campfire later, celebrating Lori's birthday and having a fun campfire, listening to good music, and having a good time before you guys take off. Thank you so much for taking time to share your story. And one last time, how can people find you if they wanted to follow up and see what you've been up to and chronicle your adventures moving forward?
The Traveling Together Journal. Pretty much if you type those things into the internet or YouTube, you'll find us.
Great, thank you so much, and we'll see you a little bit around the campfire.
All right, thank you.
Yep.